cash flow group. How do you get that on your thing right there?
Oh, the virtual.
You got a
The
border?
Yeah, so you go to video, and then you go to choose virtual background.
Oh, and you made it.
My VA made it for me. Yeah, there you
Oh,
go. Oh, I can just
fancy.
do it like this. Yep.
That's pretty
There you go.
cool.
Oh, okay. There you go. Now there you go.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could make me one.
Okay.
I see Mike
Oh, good.
Jones in here
Oh, wow, 20 people today. Must be a really, really, really good topic.
because Mike Jones showed up. I see you, Michael.
How you doing?
You getting that? Is Sydney getting you set up with that loan or what?
Yes, sir. It's been going good so far.
Make
Just
sure that
waiting
ain't
to
any
everything
shit.
to close.
You plug me in.
Oh, Sydney, can you give me the host, and then I'm gonna give you back the co-host status so that way I can live stream it? There you go. Okay, so let me give Sydney back the co-host status real quick. Make co-host. Now I can live stream. So Sydney, can you record it?
Yeah, recording started.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and live stream it just so that some people, if they can't watch it on the Zoom, they can go ahead and see the live stream. Okay. Let's see. Tuesday production.
Hey, and you can tell him to, he can go ahead and do it.
Select the group. Team Legacy. EXP Revenue Share Group. Go live. Cool. Okay. Well, I'm so glad to have Jeff join us today because as you guys know, his system is so good. So Jeff, if you don't mind, I'm gonna plug you in into my presentation so that
Yeah,
way we
please.
just go back and forth on the topic, and we're gonna have this recorded and save it for in our library for future use. That would be super amazing. So with
Yeah,
that,
plug me in. We got systems, processes, all that kind of stuff. I'd love to share.
awesome. All right. Let me minimize this.
You still using StreamYard?
I'm still using StreamYard. Give me 1 second. My screen is going crazy right now. Let me close this, close this, close this, close this. There we go. Close this, close this, close this. I'm still using StreamYard for the for all the interview. Yeah, but this one is just cool. Right, Sydney, can I start?
Go for it.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome welcome back to another Tuesday production Zoom training. So my name is Huy today, and today's topic is going to be about tip and template for a successful escrow, right? Because I have a chance to actually mentor and see a lot of like the intricate the behind the scene of doing an escrow. I see a lot of inefficiency when the agent they do the deal. And I believe that, if you just kind of tweak, some little thing here and there, I believe that number one is, your deal is going to go smoother. And number two, you're going to get back a tremendous amount of time, right? Remember, our job is lead generation. We generate the lead. And then after the contract executed, the title company take over, the loan officer take over. We need to be able to trust our team, to let them do our job. And if you can just learn to let go of things, trust me, you're gonna get your time back so much, right? People usually they ask me, like, hey, Huy, how are you able to do so many things at the same time, right? Because I trust people, I have a system, I have a process for it, and then I don't get involved, in everything, right? Because I really trusted people around me, and especially, Jeff. By the way, Jeff, hi, how are you? Thank you so much for
Hey,
coming.
Huy.
Yeah, thank you so much
Thanks for
for
having me,
coming.
man. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
ready. Plug me in when you need me. I'm
Yeah,
here.
I'm really excited to have Jeff help me out with a presentation today, because if you haven't worked with Jeff, his system is so perfect, right? This is what you want. You have a listing, And then the buyer agent, they might not even have to talk with you, and you still be able to deliver them a good experience. And then you go to closing without any hassle, right? So I'm super excited to have Jeff here today and, input a lot of stuff, for us. So anyway, moving forward, my name is Huy. I've been, doing real estate, investing in real estate in 2010. We own short-term rental, long-term rental, mid-term rental. We've done about 90 flip and counting. I have been an Icon agent since 2019, 2021 with eXp Realty. One of my favorite topic to talk to people is house hacking. But in today's objective, right, we're just gonna focus on the agency side of real estate right now, and we're gonna share some tip and template, after the contract execution, right, in order to minimize your time that you get involved in the contract, and especially increase your productivity, right? Because if you get your time back, you can do a lot more stuff. You can spend more time with your family. You can go do travel. You can do a lot more things with your time rather than, maybe sitting in a contract, if you will. Right. So congratulations, you work really hard for your lead. You write a contract, you negotiate, and the contract executed, right? I get this text all the time like, hey, I get the contract executed. What is the next step, right? I don't think they teach that in the real estate school. So unfortunately, you have to run it in real life. So what I usually do, I always send a formal acknowledgement email, right? Number one, it's going to make you look super professional. It bring all the important party together. It's going to give you all the important date. So that way everybody can just follow on this timeline, right? So you can, if you don't have a TC, you can send it out yourself. Or if you have a TC, she should already have a template, or you can teach her having, giving her a template. So that way she can send it out on your behalf. So my template is really simple. It just say, hi all, congratulations on the execution of the contract. By the way, guys, feel free to take the screenshot, and feel free to personalize the template so that way it fit your business, right? So this is the template of my assistant, right? The moment we have the contract executed, the next business hour, right? So that's another thing. I never send out email during the evening, right? If I need to work on an email, I will schedule it so that way my email, my professional email, it also sent out between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Really, really important, right? I should have write it in here, because if you send your email out, at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 3 a.m. So what are you teaching everybody working with you is that, hey, who is available 24/7. You can call him for any question because, he's working all the time. So although sometimes I have to work late, I have to work in the early morning, all of my email, especially the professional email coming to title, coming to loan, they always come out from 8 to 5, right? You never want to send out a professional email during off business hour, right? Number one, it's going to make you super unprofessional, it kind of defeat the purpose. And number two, it's going to train everybody to call you in all over the place, right? So limit your time. So yeah, so in this particular template, this is the acknowledgement email right after the contract executed. We send it out, letting everybody know that the following document are attached, the executed contract, sale disclosure, mud notice, yada, yada, yada. The title company that you work with, right? The lender contact information and all the important date here, right? And what I do with the important date later on, you're gonna see, I actually have my TC, or you can do it yourself. You create an event on your calendar, and then you email that event to your client, right? Either buyer or seller. So that way they have they have that date on the calendar as well. So some of the important date is the execution of the contract, the earnest money, right? Option period end, so important. Financing contingency, really good to keep an eye on as well. The title commitment date, I don't know why on this deal is all the way down to the 31st, but usually, for a good title company, they have it out for you in about 10 days or less, right? Even before the option period is over. And then especially the very important date, the closing date, right? So have all those dates on the email and on your agenda and on your client agenda as well. So anything, is your template different from this one, Jeff, or is it very, very similar to what I have?
Sorry, I was muted. I was going to ask you who you send this template to.
Oh, okay. So I usually send it to the title company, the lender, and I send it to my client. So 3 people.
Okay, I do the same thing with this information to the title company, lender, and the buyer's agent, right?
Oh, and the buyer agent as well.
Or
Yeah.
listing agent, whatever. But on a second email goes out to my client, same information. I just add the amount of earnest money and when it's due to be deposited. And
Oh,
the
there you
same
go.
with the option money, the amount, usually it's one check now. The amount, who it goes to, and how long you have to deposit it, and
Mm.
and a short consequence if you don't deposit it.
There you
Just,
go. That is so good.
and that's to the client, not the lender or title company, because
Got
some
it.
people, they'll execute on a Thursday and they're like, yeah, I'll get it next week. And I'll be like, well, if you don't have it by Monday, I mean, all kinds of stuff could happen. And then one other thing on the option, I kind of explain what that is just in detail so they'll know. I'll say this money is traditionally fully refundable throughout your termination. If you choose to use your termination option, you'll lose it and your earnest money will be protected. But after your finance contingency is up, now this $3,000 earnest money is almost up for grabs. I kind of just do a little disclaimer. That's to my client after I say earnest and option money. But other than that, everything else is perfect. It's just a different email to the client, a little bit more
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah, so Jeff, you mentioned a really good point. Yeah, I do that as well.
Yeah.
Or better, right? I actually ask the title company to do that on my behalf, right? I try, you can do that as well. But I always think about like, hey, how can I leverage this task out in case I'm going on vacation, right?
Right.
So that conversation, you can totally do that, and you should do it. Or better, your title, your escrow officer, they can totally have that conversation with the buyer as well. And then
Right.
all of a sudden, you also remove like, yourself a step out, from that
Right.
process.
I like it
Yep.
for liability. I've had not liability, but for, have the same expectations, because I've had it where sometimes their earnest money is lost. And
I
then they'll
know.
say, well, how'd you let that happen? I'm like, man,
Exactly.
day one, I told you what could happen.
Yep.
Here,
Yeah, so Jeff, like later on, I'm gonna share my template over here, but later on, if you have like a link to all your template, if you can share that with the team, with the group, that would be super,
yeah,
super.
let me, I'll write that down.
Yep. And then later on, Sydney, she has the attendance of everybody that attend the class. We can have Sydney send out, my template and then your template. So that way, people that they can pick and choose, y'all have the best of both worlds here.
Yeah.
Yep. The cool thing is that, I'm a very introvert, and Jeff, I believe, he's you could be an introvert as well. Our system is so good. It's designed to minimize your time into the escrow.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, just to continue, right? Just some, tip here. I would prefer to work with an escrow officer that is calm, right? You need a calm person. Anything could go wrong in escrow. That escrow officer, she or he, they need to know how to navigate through the heat, right? There could be a lot of heat between the buyer and the seller, right? Your job, part of your job, and part of the escrow officer job, they need to be able to take that hot bucket. They need to be able to cool it down, and they need to be able to present the information on the other side without skewing all the information. And so that way, they can keep the deal flowing back and forth, right? So one of your job is to de-escalate, when things get heat up. So that way, the escrow could be smooth. Yeah. Like I say, I asked the escrow officer to work with the buyer and the seller directly and update me only as needed, so no group chat, no three-way phone call. I trust you, do your job, take good care of my client, right? And this is one of the things that I normally do and work 50% of the time, right? I always, trust my escrow officer. Before I send the offer in, I always say, hey, I'm gonna send a good offer in. Mr. Buyer, Mr. Seller, or Mr. Agent, do you already have a preferred title company, right? If not, I can select a great one that will take care of both the seller and the buyer. I always get 50% good answer on this, right? So that way, I can put the team that I trust into the deal. You have more control of it. Trust me, when it comes to issue, having people that you already trust and already work with, it helps a lot during escrow. Yeah, as Jeff discussed, no honest money, no contract. Make sure you discuss those dates with with your client. Set up a contract on Skylope, right? The moment the contract executed, you get 3 days to set up on Skylope. You can either do that or your TC can do it. If you are with EXP, we have the whole training on how to set up your contract on Skylope, right? And as I mentioned, try to figure out, how to get out of the way, right? Let your escrow officer do the job. Let the lender do the job, and do not become the messenger, right? This is the number one mistake, if you will, that I see between all the new agents, right? They try to be helpful, they try to get involved in the deal. All of a sudden, you become the messenger between the title and the buyer and everything else. And trust me, that would be a huge mess, right? So get out of the messenger job. Your job is the real estate agent, right? You lead the transaction. You don't want to become the messenger. Yeah, I even see some extent, the buyer agent, they even deliver EM on behalf of the buyer, right? I would not recommend that. You are liable for that EM. What happened when you get hit by a bus and the EM doesn't get delivered, right? So all kind of stuff could happen when you actually hold that earnest money. Just don't do it. Just get out of the way. Uber it. Deliver it. Do whatever you have to do. Just let title and the buyer handle that transaction separately, right? Yeah, so if you do that, maybe you can save about 3-4 hours of your time, right? Yeah, and make sure you have all the dates set up here. So you can see on this picture, we have a closing date, schedule, everything, it's very clear on your calendar. So you set up yourself for success, just by the initial step, right? And here come the exciting thing, right? The option period, the inspection, right? This is where all the back and forth, all the excitement of the deal is going on, right? So what I normally do, I recommend the buyer to work with 3 trusted inspector of mine. I always have a list of 3 to 4 person, and I ask the buyer to work direct, to interview them and work directly with the inspector, right? I do not want to get involved. And I also set the right expectation depending on the age of the home, right? If your buyer is buying an older home, they need to have a right expectation of what a 60 years old home look like on the inspection report. If they are buying a brand new home, what is the expectation of the inspection report coming back from a home that is brand new, right? If you can just spend a little time to set the right expectation, it's going to save you tremendous amount of time, after the inspection report is finished. Yeah. And of course, find out, just be a good salesperson, find out what is important for the buyer, right? So that way, we know exactly what to negotiate during the inspection period, the option period. And again, right, get out of the way, don't become the messenger. I see so many mistakes here, right? Number one could be, you insist the buyer to use the one and only, hey, Mr. Buyer, I only have this inspection report, this inspector, you have to use him. He's amazing. He's gonna do X, Y, and Z for you. If you insist the buyer to use the one and only, if anything were to happen, it's gonna, come back and bite you and bite you later, right? So always, try to stay neutral in this process and let the buyer, pick his own inspector, if you will. I see some crazy thing, as far as, the buyer agent, they even pay for the inspection in half of the buyer and then get the rebate back later, so this is when things get complex, right? Why complicated when you can keep it simple? So don't do that, right? I still, even people on my team, I swear every time I see on my Facebook story, like, hey, at the inspection for the buyer, I'm not sure what are you guys doing there, right? We don't need to be there. You are you're gonna become liable for the inspection. You do not want to give the people, the inspection your input, right? All you need to do is read the inspection report. So that alone could save you like a day trip already, right? And again, right, become the messenger between the buyer and inspector. I see that all the time. You're gonna run into the he said, she said situation, disaster, all kind of thing happen when you show up that inspection site. So don't do that. Jeff, any feedback?
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. I think the most important part is setting the expectations, because if the buyers don't know that they're going to get an 80-page report and there's going to be all this stuff on it, when they do get that, they're going to freak out. They're going to want to terminate. They're going to probably want to do that 2 or 3 times before they realize that that's pretty normal. So setting expectations during the option period about the inspection is huge. And another misconception that some agents has is if they had 10 offers and they had no option period, it doesn't mean you cannot get an inspection. There's so many agents that'll say, "Oh, you don't have an option period, you can't have an inspection." Wrong.
Oh, that's not true.
You can,
Yeah.
yeah, shoot. Even if you don't have an option, you can still ask for stuff. I do. I'm like, hey, I know we don't have an option. We're great.
I
You
love
have
that.
you have absolute leverage on your side, but hey, I'd love to get this client a good working house, and this HVAC is just shot. So let us know. There's probably another 20 different ways I could get out of this contract, but let's not talk about that, right? So
Yep.
a lot of people think that if there's no option period, there's no inspection. Wrong. And then another big thing, my first ever lawsuit back in my Keller Williams days, I did exactly that. I sent this guy that me and him had a connection. I sent him one inspector. He missed something on the plumbing. The plumbing flooded. It led to foundation issues.
Oh, wow.
And that buyer ended up suing me, Keller Williams, the inspector. It was crazy. So that's huge too. Say
Yep.
you need to do your own due diligence. Here are 3 inspectors that my clients use, but you should talk to them directly and see which one fits best. Or if none of these work, that's okay too. And like I love Huy said, get out of the way. Don't show up
Yeah.
in an inspection and be like, yeah, that's a big problem. So this is great information. But estimated time saved 2 hours. Go ahead and add a 0 to that. It's probably about 20 hours.
Probably about 20. Yeah, I would agree with that. Right. And then here come the repair, right? So after the inspection report come over, you have to know how to read the inspection report. And again, we have a whole training on this, and you have to, you have to work with your client to see what's best for them. So I would always, I see a lot of people, they receive the inspection report and then they immediately pick up the phone and then they immediately call the buyer and seller. And the next thing you know, you spend like 2 hours or an hour on that phone, working through the inspection report, with the buyer on the phone, right? So what I normally do, I always review the inspection report first. Only after I review it, I come up with a list of my suggestion. I already know exactly what's in there. Only after I done my homework, and then I call the buyer, and then I will review the inspection report with them, right? Hey, here's a suggestion. Sometimes, it could be even in an email, in a text, right? If it's something simple. Right. We normally, again, set the right expectation. Cosmetic repair is a big no-no. We only focus on structural, plumbing, and electrical, right? And the credit, trust me, guys, the credit is always cleaner for everybody, right? So y'all are more than welcome to copy this template. This is the template that I use, for the past 5 years to close, 50, 60 deal, 70 deal a year, right? Just based on this template, and I never run into any problem. So I could say something like, hey, Michael, based on the extent of the item of the inspection report, we have identified a few items that is considered really important for the seller to address, right? And then you list it in a very easy to understand, very clear way for the listing agent to consume the information, right? Just basically put your shoe into a listing agent and see your email before you send it out. Like, hey, if I'm a listing agent and I see this nasty, ugly email, right, how would I respond to it, right? So keep it professional, keep it clean. It's going to help the listing agent so much better, right? Fireplace, furnace, plumbing, sprinkler system, right? And then I always give people an option. If the seller prefer not to do repair, but to provide concession, right? Buyer will accept $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 concession in lieu of repair, right? And we are happy to provide the inspection report if the seller asks for it, right? So I never send the inspection report out, without the buyer permission, right? Because they pay for it. Normally, if you prepare your email correctly like this, nobody would want to see the inspection report. They just want to work directly with you, and more than likely, to take the credit route just to keep things simple. Yeah. What not to do, just don't copy and paste everything in the inspection report in the email. I can still see some people do that, right? Even in calling, texting with a very long text, right? There was the deal, where the buyer agent, they call me like 4 times in the evening. I don't answer to it, and in the morning I call her back. I see her WhatsApp, and the only thing that she want to tell me is like, hey, I just want to send you. I just want to talk about the repair, right? And she called me 4 times in the evening. Right? Don't do that. Everything can be taken care during the business hour. So stick to your rule. And then that way, you can save a lot of time and have time with family, right? Don't get emotional, don't get panicked and threaten to terminate. This is the worst. Like, hey, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, I'm gonna have my buyer terminate, right? The moment I hear that, I know that she is so new into the business, and I actually get an advantage to negotiate, right? Because I know she's emotional, and when emotional run high, intelligent run really low. So you actually do your client a very disservice, right? When you get emotional and you threaten to terminate, or you wait until the last day to do the inspection, right? We have 10-7 days. Get it done in day 3 and day 4. So that way, if we have hiccup, we can work it out. Don't wait until, 2 hours or like a day, a morning on a Sunday before the option expire and send me like a long list of email on what, we should do, right? So if you do that, you're not doing your client the best service that you provide. So Jeff, any feedback here?
Yeah, no, this is great. I think the credit route is always cleaner, especially if you're representing buyer. Right now, we're talking about, getting a house under contract with the buyer. There's a seller, the seller's half the other half, right? And I do a lot of sellers. So for even my seller, educate them, because what do you think if the buyer asks to fix all that stuff that we listed, right? The seller is going to go for the cheapest option on every single one of those just to appease the buyer and say, hey, yeah, we fixed it. So letting your buyer know that and say, hey, I understand you want this stuff fixed, but man, I'd hate for them to, get their cousin to come and fix this problem or that problem. If we can just get a credit in lieu of these repairs, we can get our own professionals once we close and get this thing done the way we want it done, right? So that's big thing. Credit is definitely a cleaner option for both.
So there's a question on, like, hey, how should we know what to ask for when it comes to the credit? So for me, because I do a lot of fix and flip, I already have an idea of how much things should cost. But I think, your inspector, they can help you determine the cost. And then also, I think there was some kind of website, I can't remember on top of my head. They can actually estimate the repair for you. Yeah. So Jeff, if anybody here, if you guys have like an idea on like a service that people can use to estimate the cost of the repair, please put it in the chat link, because it just happened that I have the experience. So it's normally, I just know exactly what it is when it comes to repair.
Yeah, there
But I
is a
know
cost estimator services out there. Some even inspectors attach it to the bottom of the report. But let's say for negotiation purposes, let's say everything's going to cost around $3,500. Me representing the buyer, I'm going to ask for 6,000 or 7,000. They're going to counter me, and then my buyer's going to be happy. They'll probably traditionally they counter you about half of what you ask most times. Sometimes if you can, and sometimes you can ask for the exact amount, attach a bid, and from a contractor and say, hey, I need $3,500. But again, always add a couple thousand to that, depending on the extremity of their repairs, and then they're going to counter you, and you're going to be right where you want to be. So,
yep, that's awesome. Yeah. So moving on, this is a rookie mistake as well. I personally make this mistake, so I always remember this. A lot of the time, you're gonna end up with a repair and also a credit, right? You want to save time, you put everything into one amendment and you send it to the lender. Oh my God, you are finished, right? So always have 2 amendments if there's a both credit and repair in the deal, right? So you can use one of my template, like, hey, the seller review the amendment and kindly request the amendment to be split into 2 separate documents, right? And it doesn't matter buyer or seller, listing agent or buyer agent, you have to be so clear on this and work together with each other and back each other up on this, because if that repair amendment, if that one gets sent to the seller, if that one gets sent to the lender, y'all gonna have a really hard time, because the lender, now they have to, follow that amendment. They're gonna want to see all the repair. All of a sudden, you're gonna have another responsibility to provide for. So never do that, right? So I always insist, be very clear in my communication with the other agent. Like in this, for example, Jamie, hey Jamie, please send only the credit to the lender and use the repair amendment between the seller and the buyer. Do not send the repair amendment to the lender, right? And then you can split the repair amendment, do some, anyway, yeah. So I just want to really, really slow down and stress the importance of this. Any feedback, Jeff?
Oh, that is huge. I'm guilty of doing that. And the lender gets it and they share it, God forbid they share it with that appraiser. Oh my.
Oh my.
You're gonna have a delay. So
Yeah.
again, that's why credits are always the cleanest way. But if you sit there and put an amendment, hey, please fix foundation, leaking, plumbing, this,
You
not a
done.
good idea.
Finish.
But KJ had a question real quick. He said he's going through this as we speak. He was told if they ask for the inspection report, he has to attach that inspection report to his listing.
Yeah, so Jeff will go ahead and answer, but I think,
Yeah.
if the deal get terminated, I think we have to disclose that inspection report. So
Yeah, so
that's
what's
what,
going to happen is that's why, like, again, there's two sides to this. There's the seller side too. So let the seller know, hey, if we don't address these repairs for this buyer, 9 times out of 10, the next buyer is also going to ask for these repairs and ask for these credits. And then we'll probably have to update our sales disclosure now that we know that there's a roof leak. And then in the seller's disclosure, it says, have you had your property inspected in the last couple of years? You're going to
Yeah.
have to say yes to that. So it's always good to prep the seller. Like, hey, we're going to have to address these eventually. And we want to sell a good house to someone. We don't want this coming back. So that is pretty much true, KJ. So I would never ask to see the report. Maybe if they ask for specific items that are large, you can say, hey, you can kind of take those out of the report and send me those so we can get some more clarity around the repair issue. But please don't send me the full report ever.
Yeah, so that's another rookie mistake. A lot of buyer agent, they usually attach the entire inspection report to, your email. If you do that, you're gonna piss off a lot of listing agent, right? And that's kind of set the wrong foot into, the escrow. So unless they ask, don't ever send the full inspection report to listing agent. You don't need it. There's no need to complicate the deal. Just have a nice email, send only the page, if just to make things clear, and go from there. So yeah, I hope that that helped. But yeah, other than that, let's keep moving on. But after you get option period, everything else, you should be able to cruise to closing, right? And that's the hiccup. So for me, what I normally do, I set up, weekly or bi-weekly, if it's a longer deal, checkpoint with title lender to make sure the deal is moving, right? A good title officer would take the lead in the transaction, inform you if there's anything wrong. I usually ask for weekly Thursday update because, if you get it on a Friday, you cannot fix anything, right? It's mostly because it's too late. You're gonna hit the weekend. So I usually ask for all my update, all the deal, or my lender and title partner. They update me on either Wednesday or Thursday. So that way we have an extra day or two just to, come back and work on a deal if so that way you don't lose another week. Yeah. So just a little tweak here and there in your process, it's gonna make your deal move a lot smoother, right? It's gonna be no help if somebody update you on a Friday evening, right? It's like, okay, whatever, right? It's over. Yeah. This is huge. I see a lot of new real estate agent. They, again, right, y'all excited, y'all want to get involved in everything. So you guys ask the lender, the title to be, to update me on everything, right? So number one, again, you're gonna be liable for that because now you get involved. So if you can just ask your title and your loan officer, just to exclude you from all the unnecessary group email, text email, delegation, like, hey, Mr. Lender, I know you do your job correctly. I trust you, work with my buyer, inform me if there's any hiccup, right? Same thing with title, right? Keep an eye on the survey, the title commitment. Again, this is title responsibility. And if there's any hiccup, they should be the one to tell you, right? HOA, right? Keep an eye on it. Sometimes it could be late. The delivery time is long. You can advise your client, if you need to rush the HOA or don't rush the HOA. So keep an eye on the HOA. Could be the number one information that number one item that could delay your closing as well, right? Appraisal supposed to make value. If not, we have to deal with that, and that could be another presentation by itself, right? Focus on closing the deal, right? This is another tip. I see a lot of people when they get into the deal, they try to, point finger, they try to, take the responsibility off their hand by like, hey, you do this is because of you, this is because when problem happen, work together to close the deal, right? Try not to blame lender, try not to blame the title company. If it's happened, it's already happened. Hey guys, this has already happened. How do we fix this, right? And then we're gonna come back and and do the lesson learned later. But during escrow, there's no time to play the blame game. So keep that in mind, right? And keep it calm, right? There's a lot of emotional involved. Most of the time, this is not a commercial transaction, so you are dealing with a very emotional buyer and you are dealing with a very emotional seller. If you get emotional, your intelligence is going to run low. And this is where I see like all the nasty emails start to come in and out of escrow just because people, they don't have a poker face and they let their emotion trump them, right? So final walkthrough, make sure all the repair is done. The CDA, if you done your CDA, if you done your Skylock correctly, you should already have your commission disbursement like a week or maybe even 2 weeks before closing, right? Review the closing statement. Again, this could be another training by itself, but review the closing statement with the buyer and then go to closing, right? Yeah, so what not to do again, right? Become the messenger between everybody, right? It's gonna run you nuts. It's gonna, it's gonna destroy your life. So do not become the messenger in the escrow, and instead, use it for lead generation or do some other stuff. Yeah, any feedback here, Jeff?
No, that is great. I love that. The messenger part is huge.
Yeah, that's really, to be honest, that is like the number one problem that I see, right? People, they just all of a sudden become the messenger, and they just, if you have like 4 deals and you become the messenger for like 3 deals in a month, you have no time to do anything else.
Yeah, most agents, they have this type of business that goes up and down, and that's because they spend 90 days or more just lead generating. They finally get a contract, and then they spend another 30 days just getting that contract closed. Then they're
Yep.
90 days away from another check. So you got to delegate this stuff and focus on lead generation throughout, so you can have more consistent business.
Yeah, so delegate it, but not like you don't pay attention to it, right? So do have checkpoint. So I have a lot of checkpoint, especially when the important date, right? If 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 the survey date hit and there's not survey, right? An email will go out automatically that say, hey Tiffany, just check in to see if the new survey has been ordered by the buyer or the lender, right? So you always make sure that the survey, is ordered. This is the human business, right? Sometimes title they make mistakes, so you have to stay on top of it. Update on repair, hey, Mr. Seller, Mr. Listing Agent, when a repair schedule to be complete, please send us an update. Here is an amendment attached for your reference, right? So you always remind people, document could get lost. Home insurance, which is really good, right? You always, against, right, stay neutral, but remind your buyer to have the home insurance, and then, update people. For example, you can use this template. You can update people when it comes to repair. Just keep the email very simple and very clean to understand. Yeah. This is a good one, right? If you guys are with EXP, right, remember that we have Utility Connect, so you can actually earn a little bit of commission if you help your client to connect, water, electricity, yada yada yada, to Utility Connect, right? So I always have this email sent out like, hey Brooke, now we're getting closer to the closing date, right? Start thinking about, the big move, right? We have Utility Connect. You can sign up here. There's a whole training on Utility Connect. You can, it's a really, really good service. It's going to help the buyer, hook up, with internet, water, just basically all the utility in the house, right? And they don't need to do, it's going to be a lot less work on your client. Yeah, this is a one-stop shop set up for all utility and home service, including electricity, water, gas, satellite, cable, home phone, internet, home security, home automation, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, if you haven't heard about it, go to Workplace and go to Utility Connect and start learning about it. I think this is, something really, really good. I always have this email come in and see result. Yeah, home warranty is another one, right? This is another email that you can copy. Your agent work hard to negotiate a warranty that you can use on this home. The seller will pay us up to the amount, right? And then again, right? Try to sell America prefer home warranty, but in the meantime, stay neutral and then give people all the home warranty option as well. Oh, this is the bonus. So when you list a house, right? You don't assume that the appraiser, they will have all the information regarding your listing, right? So I always have this email sent out. I call this the appraisal information package, and I always make sure that the appraiser, they have this information before they come and and appraise your house, right? And again, keep it super neutral, right? You don't want to get into trouble here. So I could say something to the extent of, hey, Jeff, thank you so much for your help on this deal. Attach other comp that the seller and I used to come up with the list price for this home, right? The home has been going under major renovation. The seller decided to list the home at this much price, due to the market condition to attract a faster closing. The home has great showing traffic despite the interest rate increase, and we're able to lock it under contract quickly, right? So you tell the appraiser how fast the market is. We are confident, right? I'm not telling the appraiser on how much they should appraise my house for, but I'm telling him I am confident that the market price for the home is above, this number with the following upgrade, right? And I go ahead and I list all the upgrade. I even include a really nice bomb video just to build relationship with the appraiser, just in case that, hey, if anything to happen, I'm just a phone call or a minute away, right? 5 years doing this, Jeff, no problem with the appraisal, knock on wood.
Yeah, no, for sure. And especially if it's heating up, and let's say you represent the seller and you get 5, 6, 7 offers. And one thing I like to do, let's say we're listed for 250, but we got 10 offers, so we ended up executing at like 265. I'll do an amendment to the price of the listing to 265, and I'll update MLS to that 265 number, just because if a lot of appraisers will go to the MLS, they'll see that it's listed for 250, but they got a contract at 265. Then they'll say, well, you said, 30 days ago that you thought the value was 250. So we're having an issue here. So it's always good to, especially if it goes way over, get a real quick amendment to your listing price and update the MLS price as well.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So, when you represent the seller, just stuff like this that you do on the back end, it just increase your chance of not having, issue with appraisal during escrow or anything, right? Or if you're a buy agent, kind of remind the listing agent, like, hey, why don't you do this and that, right? I don't do that, but yeah, it's really good to have this information package over. If you have a survey, even better. Yeah. Okay, well, so let's, I do want to take a break, guys. I want everybody to kind of open up the mic, right? What could possibly go wrong, right? During escrow, which is, man, I hear some crazy story. I can share some personal story of mine. For example, right, the survey, when the survey come back, right, there was, all of a sudden there was like a huge gas line, run underneath the house. The buyers panic, the sellers panic, right? Nobody know what to do, and the title company back then, they also panic, right? So I have to do the job of calm everybody down, actually go to center point, figure out, they actually have a department, to double check the survey, and it turned out that, that easement on the gas line, they already moved it 2 years ago, right? But they just forgot to update their map, right? But all of a sudden, the title come back, it's like, oh, we can close it, or this can close, that can close, right? I have to be the only one who is calm enough to calm everybody down, and then go to center point and work with them to get the survey correct, right? So all kind of stuff can happen. Make sure you have the cool head, and just, problem solving the issue, right? Don't get emotional, right? Title could forgot to order HOA too, right? So you always have to keep an eye on that. Appraisal could go low. You have to renegotiate with other party. I have, one time I was checking my listing, Jeff, and oh my God, right? For whatever reason, it's not even a freeze. The water heater start to leak, and it's from the ceiling, right? It just, it flood up. It is an empty house, so it's always a good idea, right? I think Signboss or even PSTX, they have a service, right, where you can schedule like a guy just to come to a vacant house and check the house every 2 weeks, right? Now I always do that to form all my vacant listing, because if, I don't know, but it could be a simple leak, but if nobody is there to take care of it, like in 1 day, it's going to turn into a huge issue, right? It destroyed the wood floor. We have to do the repair. We have to renegotiate with the seller, and that could, be simply stopped by having somebody check the house every 2 weeks, right? So if you have a vacant home, always have somebody check the house every week, every 2 weeks, right? Anything could go wrong with a vacant home, so I always pay attention to that. Yeah, repair disagreement, right? Again, all the the credit route is always better. I also have a story on, like, I don't know how to describe it, but on the moment on the day of the final walkthrough, the buyer just come back and he unload a bus of his family member, mom, uncle, cousin, distant cousin. I could, God forbid, like, I mean, like 20 people in that final walkthrough. The moment they unload that bus, I know my deal is over, right? So,
Right.
yeah, it's just some really, really crazy stories. So I really want to open up the mic here. I don't know if you have some crazy story you like to share, Jeff, and how you navigate around, all this thing.
Yeah, no, like I said, early on in my career, what really saved me during that one deal where they sued everyone was the fact that I got the buyer walkthrough form signed at title. And now all my title reps, and I try to get them to sign too, but in the closing packages, there's a buyer walkthrough form. It's not definitely not mandatory, right? But it's good to have. And it just says, I walked the property and I accept it, as is condition at this date. Or the other option is I did not walk the property, but I still accept it as is, and they all sign it, stuff like that. And that
Oh,
helped me.
that's really good form.
Yeah, so it's again not mandatory, but I think it's highly recommended to get that signed at closing, and that could help you with a lot of things here. Man, I know I have, yeah, all kinds of crazy stories. I've had to buy refrigerators, I've had to buy garage door openers, a lot of a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, I will share with you one. I don't know if Min is in here. One of my most interesting closing with Min is that, I represent a seller and Min represent a buyer. So after closing, there was a banana tree that he insists that, like, hey, this is my banana tree. This is my tree. I'm gonna go ahead and take it. And I keep telling my seller, like, no, Mr. Seller, this is attached to the house. You cannot take this banana tree. The deal is already closed. Let the tree go. You know what he did, Jeff? You know what he did? He showed up in the truck and he dig up the tree in front of the buyer and he take it with him. I don't.
Next time you got to add that to the exclusions
Oh
list
man, I
there.
swear to God, I delete him from the CA. I never want to work with him again. I just don't know what to tell these people.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
so
is there anybody that has any questions or they want more clarity on anything that we went over?
yeah, let me wrap it up here. I think
Yeah.
at the end, and then we can open up for question. So these three questions, I really like for you to ask, especially when we go to travel, right? So Jeff and Amanda, me, Jenny, we go travel to conference all the time. And by the way, I'm speaking in Cabo this year, so make sure you sign up for the ticket for that, right? But I truly believe that, when you travel, this is when your business grow, right? Because it's kind of force you to delegate. And for me, these three questions has become very clear when I travel, right? So in the real estate transaction, you have to ask yourself, right? What task get done regardless of your present, right? And be honest, right? Some item, it doesn't matter if you're there or not, it's still gonna get done. Heck, it's even become better if you're not there, right? If you not even show up, your team is gonna do a better job than you. So think about those tasks and let those tasks go, right? Think about the tasks that get done regardless of your present, but with your present, it's going to be a little better, right? So maybe your team, it needs some coaching. There's a process that you need to improve, right? So think about the tasks that, hey, it's going to get done regardless of me being there or not. But with my present, it's going to be better, right? So you might want to involve if time permit, right? And then what tasks that you must do, right? Otherwise, if you don't do it, your business will stop. For example, lead generation, right? You have to do that, or you have to hire a marketing person to do that. So think about those tasks, especially when you go travel, go away for like a week or 2 weeks. It's gonna become so clear, and then when you come back, that's how you can improve your business to the next level. Yeah, right. So, I don't know if I share with Jeff, if I share with you the story, but I get into a small accident. I thought it was small, but it turned out that I couldn't walk for 2 days, right? So in those 2 days, right, I never thought it's going to happen to me, right? But long story short, the moral of the story is that I don't want everybody here to have a job, because when you have a job, you have to work, right? So you have to learn how to build a business, right? Don't get yourself a job. So learn how to build a system that run and pay you whenever you like it or not, whenever you can walk or not, right? Trust me, those 2 days so painful. I cannot walk. And what happened if I have a job? Now I don't get paid either. So that's going to be suck. So the important, in the real estate transaction, the important, as you can see, the importance of having a transaction coordinator and the admin is huge. You can do all the stuff that me and Jeff told you to do, or you can hire an admin, you can hire a TC and have them handle that transaction for you. So that way you can stay on top of things, you can go out and then you can do lead generate, right? So Jeff, how much time do you think that we save for everybody here?
Oh
Maybe
man,
maybe like 46 hours, 72
hey,
hours.
probably a good 40 hours.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
But maybe more. Let's say that you didn't do something and then you got sued 5 years later.
I
There's
know.
a couple months of your time. So who knows?
Yep. I think sometime it froze. I'm not sure why my screen froze, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
And,
yeah, really
one
that's it.
question.
Thank you for attending, and now we're gonna open up for question. And my job is, I really love helping real estate professional, right? Together we can create more equity and more cash flow. We're gonna create more cash flow agents. So thank you, Jeff.
That was great information for sure. I think I'm going to add a few things to mine. The utility connect. I don't really use that. I know I have it. But with all the ways to make money at our company in addition to commissions, I think we should take advantage of those. So, but Nancy had a question. At what point do you hire a TC? And Sophia already answered it. She goes, I would do it from the start, and I would agree with that because most TCs, you can probably get a pretty good TC to handle a lot of your stuff for around $250 per transaction. And while they're doing all that stuff for you, the tedious stuff that needs to be done, you could be focusing on lead generation that will, 10x that investment or even more, probably a lot more of that small investment as a TC. So I would do it pretty quick right away. But Sophia answered it correctly. That's great.
Yeah, so for Nancy, for me, I used to do it myself too, but then I would say, like you can, like for me, I can only do it humanly. It's humanly possible for me to handle up to 3 transactions only, or 4, right? When you get busy, when you're up to 5, that's when things start to fall apart. That's when you miss inspection, you start to, when you see your service get, go down, that's the time you put on another person, right? Or you can just do it from the get-go and get another person. But yeah, kind of pay attention to your service level. And when you see that service level start to go down because you get busy, right? Lead generate, do something, that's when you need a TC.
Yeah, and Anna said she does it herself. It helps her familiarize herself with the forms and stuff, what to do.
Exactly.
And, I mean, that's a great idea at first as well. But ask yourself, are these revenue increasing activities or what kind of thing? So once you start listing, your high level activities and things like that, is it producing revenue for you, or can someone do this for a lot cheaper than what my time is worth? But it's good to do that at first. For sure. I like that. Just
so let's do a little calculation, right? TC is about $300 per transaction. And, like all the stuff that me and Jeff have discussed, it's probably going to cost about maybe 40 hours of work, right? So if you do that, you really pay yourself $7. So if you think that your time is worth $7 per hour, which is less than the minimum wage, right? You can go ahead and do that. Or if you think you work more than $7 per hour, please go hire TC, right? It's gonna take your business to the next level. Yep, and I tell people all the time, right? My first best hire is the TC. My second best hire is the bookkeeper. And my third best hire is the virtual assistant, right? These 3 silent warrior, they took my business to the next level. Yeah, but I think that's it. Anything else, everybody?
Yeah, I don't see any other questions in the chat. If you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, go for it. And if not, where are we going to put this recording, Huy?
I'm gonna have it on my YouTube, and then also Sydney is gonna put it, on the Team Legacy YouTube channel as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a list. We can send everybody your checklist, and then also my checklist, and that should be it. And I see everybody on Wednesday, on Thursday, right? On Thursday, Thao is doing a new construction class. We have more than 60 people attended, sign up already. So that is going to be a huge turnout.
Is that a Zoom or is that in person?
This is going to be in person. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. or if I have it, I don't have it here, but if you check the Team Legacy website, I'm gonna post it on my Facebook as well. Yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna be in person. Thao is an expert in new construction, and on Thursday, he gonna teach us on how to crush new construction business.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. I gave her a few tips maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and she took off in new construction. That was great. But yeah, I'll be there. I'll try to be there. We got a new baby, but I'm getting plugged back in. So, all right.
And also we have a rally. If you're in Dallas, actually the rally is happening right now in Dallas, the regional rally, and then in Houston, I'm gonna be back tomorrow in Houston. We have a huge regional rally tomorrow, and Glenn Stanford is gonna be there, right? So you do not want to miss tomorrow. So if you're in Houston, if you don't have the link, get with me, get with Jeff. Go check our Team Legacy Facebook website. Go ahead and sign up right away, right? Because tomorrow is gonna be so huge.
All right. Thanks for having me, Huy.
All right, thank you everybody. See ya.
Thank you, Huy.
All right, bye. Bye guys.